Thanks for joining us for Eye on New Mexico. I'm Spencer Schott. Friday was the last day the governor could sign bills into law after this year's 60-day session. KOB4 was up at the Roundhouse following these bills from committees to floor debates all the way to the governor's desk. While she has signed hundreds of bills into law, and we will get to some of those in just a minute, we want to start with the governor's process, who earlier this week explained how she decides what bills will get her signature.
I'm proud to get to be in a position to showcase the incredible work of the legislature and the executive branch and getting any number of things across the finish line. We had more bills this 60-day session than we've had, not by a huge margin, but a significant one. I'd like you to stop doing that in the last 3 days. And the reason for that is, and this is for the technocrats that will be watching, my job is actually not just on the policy, but I have to look if a mistake was made, or if I've got a constitutional challenge, or we'll pass bills that are in direct conflict with each other. And so, or they seem like they're mirror bills, but they're not, or they are, and I have to figure out which one you sign first. So it takes a lot more work than maybe the average person assumes. And when they all, but by the time they get into a place where they get delivered, there's a whole process to the office. I swear they all got delivered like yesterday. And so this is the place, in fact, we've been doing that for the last couple of nights. We work, my team, until 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, and starting today, they're nearly 24-hour reviews until noon on Friday. We have at least 100 more bills that we have to go through, and we've started the work on the capital House Bill 2 Junior, the budget bill, tax package. That takes an incredible amount of work. I mean, we literally have to look at, commas matter. They can save your life. So the whole, let's eat grandma thing that we teach kids in grade school. So, yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Don't put that comma in the wrong place. Or put the comma in, I suppose, is what you really need to do. So it takes a lot of work. So my goal is, this is what you really asked me, and I did a little whining about the amount of time. I feel much better. A lot of these bills are unanimous, and most of them, in addition, are bipartisan. Frankly, even though I'm proud to have a Democratic majority, make no mistake about that because of the values that represents and the work that was accomplished here today, it means something to me when they're bipartisan and we're working across the aisle. So my goal is to get to yes. Sometimes there is, I think, an impossibility. I get a bill, but I don't get the funding for the personnel. I get a bill, but the way in which the legislature dictates how we execute it, I can't. It's not that I don't want to. I can't get it done in the way that you thought I could, and we'll have to reluctantly veto that. And we put it in a message, right? This is why, but I want to come back. But my goal is to get to yes. I think I've demonstrated that over the last 4 years. I think they're expecting that I will do that. There will be some vetoes, I'm sorry, and we're still looking at those. But the vast majority of pieces of legislation are an indication that we have quality policymakers in the House of Representatives and in the state Senate. And I'm working through them as quickly as I can to give them the signatures that they deserve.
While a lot of bills weren't signed until after the legislative session ended, some bills got MLG's signatures right away, including the Calf Canyon Hermit's Peak Relief Bill. This was, in fact, the first bill to get signed this year, and it went into effect immediately.
And with my signature, Senate Bill 6 is hereby law.
Senate Bill 6 is the first major bill Governor Lujan Grisham has signed this session. This bill flew through both the House and the Senate in a way rarely seen in the Roundhouse.
In my whole government career, there are not that many large appropriations proposals that have unanimous support.
In summary, this bill is a loan from the state to impacted communities, but the governor says she will make sure that we still get the money promised by the federal government.
It's a lot harder for the federal government to say no to the state. So we upload upfront money that's intended to make people whole, and then I, along with all of my colleagues right here, we fight the federal government on their liability.
It has almost been a year since the Calf Canyon Hermit's Peak fire was started by a federal prescribed burn. And since the fire was put out, communities have been planning on how they will rebuild.
We've got our road projects ready to go. They've already been identified. We've already met with FEMA on I believe there's 29 roads that have been identified as roads needing total reconstruction.
Now, they just need the money.
I believe it's just going to be a matter of days probably before DFA will start accepting the applications.
Another bill that went straight from the House floor to the governor's pen was a piece of legislation commonly known as Benny's Law. This bill took 2 years to make it to the governor's desk, and she was eager to make it law. Tamara Lopez explains how this bill is designed to hold parents accountable for their firearms.
This is now law.
It's been a long road for House Bill 9, or the Benny Hargrove Gun Safety Act. Governor Lujan Grisham signed it into law with some very special help.
This is a wonderful step to help solve some of these problems. It's not going to do the whole job, but it's a start. Families, children will be saved. You may won't have to go through this. Even if it's just one life that we save, that's an important thing.
Benny Hargrove's family joined her in Santa Fe. The new law increases penalties for people who don't secure their guns if a kid gets a hold of one and uses it in a crime. Kids like Juan Salcedo Jr., who back in 2021 shot and killed Benny Hargrove at Washington Middle School in Albuquerque. Hargrove was defending other students from Salcedo during a bullying incident right before the shooting.
How does a 13-year-old get a gun? And it was just astounding to me that we did not have a gun safety law in the state of New Mexico.
Representative Pamela Herndon co-sponsored the bill last session. She and her co-sponsors brought it back again this year. Exceptions were added to it, like self-defense, hunting, or supervised usage of a firearm. You can still legally store your gun on a top shelf as long as it's out of reach of kids or something like a locked medicine cabinet. Salcedo pleaded no contest to second-degree murder 2 weeks ago, and even though Benny is gone, supporters say his legacy will now live on through this law.
It's so important that recognize the problem New Mexico's having, and it's a step, you know. The nation is going to know about this.
Coming up after the break, we are looking at what the legislature has done when it comes to tackling crime here in New Mexico. Since day one of the legislative session, Governor Lujan Grisham has said crime was a top priority. While multiple crime bills were introduced, not all of them passed. And this week, the governor signed a handful of crime bills into law. While it's not much, she says it's a good start.
I still get a little box? No one's your boss, Baker. I'm clear about that. It is really cold out here. That can be good so that we don't dry up so fast. We've had well over 100 fires so far this season, and we are on the 1-year anniversary of the start of the Calf Canyon Hermit's Peak fire. So I try to be open-minded about the chill, not so open-minded about the dry wind. But look, we committed every law enforcement official, whether elected, appointed, or our brave men and women who are first responders, who we are surrounded by today, who every single minute of every single day, 7 days a week, are clear about their both responsibility and the opportunity to keep us safe. But without appropriate tools, we minimize their ability to do that. And we minimize in that context for businesses to thrive, for families to be safe, for our students to feel safe and supported in their community. And that's what we're here to announce today. And also to recommit to to New Mexicans, and we're not done. Until this is the safest place in America, you should expect that every person here today will keep fighting for the right tools in the right ways to address this on the back end and on the front end to make sure that we're making the kind of investments that reduce poverty, that create healthier families, and enriched opportunities so that we minimize crime at its roots. So we're going to do all of that, and we're here to talk about three things. We got three incredible new tools, and you're going to hear from the sponsors from most of those. We are going to sign the straw arm purchase piece of legislation, and I want to talk about a story right here in Albuquerque in 1 second, and I'll be fast, because we know that guns get into the hands of people who could not pass a background check to have access to that firearm. And it happens legally all across the state. And after today, that will no longer be available to New Mexicans. So straw arm purchases, gone. Catalytic converters. Two of my staff had their catalytic converters stolen out of their cars while they were parked at the Rail Runner to come to Santa Fe. I can tell you, being married to a car guy, it makes him insane in his own lot, where he's taking care of people's cars and doing body work, and copper catalytic converters are the du jour items, and people break in literally every single day. And this is going to hold those folks accountable, because it creates for the end purchaser a responsibility, right? To be accountable, to know who that you're purchasing from, to keep those records, and to allow us to deal with the men and women who are engaged in criminal activity. I want to just also point to this really quick. In Albuquerque, every single day, 100 bullets are fired. 100. That's 100 lives that are at risk every single day. And it brings me to the retail crime problem, which you're going to hear about. And I want to thank Steve Chavez and Rob Black, who are participating and leading our Public Safety Business Council. Without the tools to adequately charge someone, and they are creating an organized effort, then we have misdemeanor charges, not felony charges. You want to get people to stop, then you make sure that they're going to be accountable. They're going to jail. And that is the way that we deal with this. And I will tell you, we're having foster kids, I'm very proud of that, at the residence on Saturday, sort of our own version of the White House Easter roll. And so we've been shopping for Easter baskets and goodies for kids and their families. And my own detail stopped a theft in progress at a shop in Santa Fe. Now, while we waited for the police to arrive, and they did, the next day we went to another similar store, and another, we prevented that particular theft, because it was pretty clear that trained police officers know when someone is involved in casing and trying to steal. And the problem is, all of the people who are there aren't safe, all of the people who work there aren't safe, and the likelihood that they have a weapon is also way too high. We cannot continue along those paths. Absolutely not. So today, we are celebrating that we are clear about the path and the responsibility in passing legislation that will make us safer. And then I want to shout out to the legislators and the Attorney General are here, who worked hard to get $100 million to make sure that we are recruiting more officers. Call volumes are up. We have academies that have the biggest classes ever, but we got to make sure that we're competitive and that we're compensating the men and women who are protecting us in meaningful ways. And we're already seeing that our retention reforms, thank you very much to the New Mexico Legislature for getting those up, are having an impact, because more officers are staying longer in the job. Thank you for that sacrifice for us. It makes a difference, and it's meaningful, and it's the only way we're going to get ahead of the problems that we have. I thank you for sticking with us. I thank the leadership in the House and the Senate for doing all of the heavy lifting to make sure that we are focused on combating crime and enhancing public safety in every single meaningful way that we can. And last, we aren't done, and we won't be done until every single New Mexico family feels that they are safer, because they are here in New Mexico, than they are anywhere in the country. So expect that we're going to do more about gun violence. Expect that we're going to do more to keep our kids safe in schools. Expect more to hold people accountable so that they're serving time, that we're doing the right deterrence, that we're clear about supporting our businesses and our retail partners. Be clear. More is coming. It's intolerable, and we're done. And thank you to the legislators who have the courage to do what's right by New Mexico families. Thank you very much.
The governor signed 3 public safety bills on Thursday that cover, like she mentioned, retail crime, straw purchase of fire alarms, and catalytic converter theft. Our own Felice Romero breaks down what these bills look like.
Get the guitar with.
And the problem is all of the people who are there aren't safe, all of the people who work there aren't safe, and the likelihood that they have a weapon is also way too high. We cannot continue along those paths.
With the stroke of a pen, Governor Lujan Grisham increased the penalties for people caught stealing in New Mexico.
Without the tools to adequately charge someone, and they are creating an organized effort, then we have misdemeanor charges, not felony charges.
The governor signed the public safety bill alongside legislators, elected officials, and law enforcement Thursday morning.
We created a crime called retail organized crime. And this is aimed at these gangs that invade. They literally invade a store. They threaten the shoppers. They threaten the employees. They walk out with lots of stuff.
The other crime included in the bill targets people who steal and become violent with police officers when trying to escape.
All right, you're going to leave right now.
Individuals who want to continue to commit crime or individuals who are violent. And we are not afraid to say that those individuals need to stay in jail.
Now, coming up after the break, we are looking at the bills the governor signed that expand human rights here in New Mexico. A lot of the bills that made it to the governor's desk deal with expanding the rights of New Mexicans, including voting rights. Gabe Salazar explains why this 47-page bill is a victory for Democrats, but Republicans are concerned it will impact election integrity.
House Bill 4, election.
The new bill is part of a larger package passed by the Democratic-controlled legislature to expand voting rights in New Mexico.
We're trying to make sure that people in sparsely populated areas, the frontier counties, have every opportunity to vote just as easily as my constituents do in Albuquerque.
One way this law makes that happen is by automatically registering a person to vote during certain MVD transactions. The signing comes as the state lags behind the rest of the nation when it comes to political engagement and number of registered voters, according to a Wallet Hub report. It doesn't come without some controversy. The new law makes it easier for convicted felons to vote once they're released, causing some in the GOP to be concerned. Senate Republican leader Greg Baca says the only beneficiaries are felons and those seeking to compromise the integrity of our elections. Even so, supporters of the bill say it also is a win for those who live on tribal lands.
There's no reason for Native people should have a higher barrier to request election resources.
It establishes the Native American Voting Rights Act, which would require each precinct on the reservation to have at least one polling location.
Voters on reservations are now able to use official tribal buildings as mailing addresses for voter registration and mail-in voting.
On top of everything, it would declare Election Day a school holiday.
It's truly an amazing achievement for our communities.
Gabe Salazar, KOB4.
Access to abortion and gender-affirming health care was a hot topic during this past legislative session. This week, the governor signed another bill that would expand that access. I was there when the governor signed Senate Bill 13, a bill that not only protects those seeking this care, but those who provide it. It was a full house at the governor's office today as she signed Senate Bill 13 into law, guaranteeing protections for providers who offer gender-affirming health care as well as reproductive health care, including abortions.
The last signature required.
Yes, child.
It is now hereby law.
Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham was applauded this morning by women and activists who fought to protect reproductive and gender-affirming care in the state of New Mexico. This is the second bill the governor has signed dealing with access to this type of health care. HB 7 provides protections to individuals who seek out treatment, where SB 13 guarantees providers also have legal protections.
If we don't protect providers, you can say you have access, when in fact you do not. And that is exactly the strategy that the country is undertaking. One, ban it, make it illegal, make it impossible, put up every single kind of barrier. But the best barrier is to tell providers not to get trained here, not to provide access, not to do the care, not to do the work. Because then it doesn't matter where you live, you can't get what you need when you need it.
Governor Lujan Grisham was also joined by doctors who supported this bill and testified in front of committees. Now they say providers are being supported by the state.
This SB 13 is a game changer for patients and providers because of the legal protections that it affords us. Avoiding civic penalties, criminal penalties, disciplinary action by boards.
But the governor says these bills go beyond reproductive and gender-affirming care. It also ensures equal rights for those who are being targeted in other states.
We were going to stand firm and we were going to make it clear that we were going to protect providers and women and their families and the LGBTQ community in every possible way. And then we're going to codify all that work in statute.
The governor has signed a lot of bills since the session has ended, but there's still about 100 on her desk waiting for the pen. Tonight at 6, we're looking at which bills she said she will sign and what bills might get the veto. Well, we covered all of those vetoes on Wednesday, but now we are looking at too many New Mexicans wonder where their next meal is coming from, especially our children. After this school year, state leaders say no more. Lawmakers made it a priority during this legislative session to make sure young students stay well fed. The governor was surrounded by elementary students and put a pen to paper on a multi-million-dollar bill making free school meals law. Brianna Wilson was there.
Next school year, all school lunches in New Mexico will be fresh, locally sourced, and free. And that's something one spaghetti lover in particular says he's looking forward to.
Would spaghetti be considered fresh?
I think so. Albuquerque 5th grader Alejandro Najera noticed a lot of his peers were not eating lunch at school.
Every day at my school, I see most of the 4th and 5th graders throw away their food because it's not fresh. It's not that good.
Some kids eat the food because they need to eat to survive and to get through school.
That was an issue he was willing to take straight to the Roundhouse this year as lawmakers debated the Healthy Universal School Meals Act. As Alejandro put it,
I was able to convince all the senators and the governor to pass the bill.
State leaders unanimously passed the more than $40 million bill to greenlight free breakfast and lunch in every New Mexico school, with fresh ingredients from local farmers and growers. Today, Alejandro sat next to the bill's sponsors and the governor in the Pinon Elementary cafeteria as she signed it into law.
Senate Bill 4, universal meals with all the accountability measures and support of local producers and farmers, is now the law of the land. Kids learn better when their stomachs are full and they aren't worried about their next meal.
These changes will kick in over the summer, meaning meals won't be universally covered until the next school year.
I feel like I'm dreaming, if I gotta be honest. Sometimes I just think I'm going to wake up and then just forget about it, but no, this is real life.
In Santa Fe, Brianna Wilson, KOB4.
Thanks for watching, and remember, we'll be back next weekend with an all-new Eye on New Mexico.